We're joined by Marie-Jo Valente, Head of Development for the Friends of the Verbier Festival, and Sam Golscheider, our Head of Orchestras, whom we had the pleasure of welcoming to the studio a few days ago. So welcome back, welcome.
Thank you.
When one thinks of the various sort of industries, I mean, probably the worst offenders in the sort of the green world is probably the fashion industry, but actually not too far behind them are classical musicians, because by the very nature of their work, they're travelling from A to B to C very, very quickly. I mean, are they aware, do you think, of how much damage they're doing en masse?
That's a very good question. En masse, maybe not. I think I'm noticing more and more a growing sensitivity towards this subject. I've spoken at various agencies, for example, in London, and I can see that the people working directly with a lot of renowned conductors and soloists are asking themselves a lot of questions. And that's encouraging to see. And I think what we need to move towards is more people realizing that each of us can make a difference, no matter who we are, actually. I spoke this morning to 20 musicians from the Verbier Festival Junior Orchestra, all between 15 and 18, and they were so engaged with this subject. It was very inspiring to see. And I told them as well, you know, you have a set of colleagues around you, have coaches, you have other people at the festival, and they all took it to heart that actually, you know, they are not, on the biggest stages with a big following, but they also can pose questions, can influence people around them, and can make a difference.
I mean, flipping it round, it must be very tough. You've broken through as an artist. You need to make your mark. You need to move around the world. You need to play in Vienna. You need to play in London. You need to play in Paris. You know, how do you sort of get round that? It's very difficult to see how you can adjust. What are your thoughts on?
Well, I don't know if we can, as a festival, adjust the way they behave against all this. I think the point is exactly being raising awareness of that, and taking in account that the festival is international known and that we have a voice as an event, and as an event like that, I think we have really our point and our first action will be trying to educate in a way the musicians, but also our public, our staff. We are more than 300 here in the mountains, and the mountains are nature. So we have to be aware of that, and we have to say it very loud.
Can you give us some examples of the things that you recommend to your audience or to the artists? I mean, some specific things that you
Yeah.
Yes?
Of course. It's going to be Samuel, who is much more involved in concrete actions. But when I came here first 3 months or 3 years ago, I was very amazed by seeing what he and his team was already doing since years, not just because we talk about it now, but really during years. But we did never say what we're doing, and I think it's a very the actions are concrete, and we did it already, many of them this year, for example.
Yeah, sure. I can give some examples and a bit of history. So we started what we call the Green Project in 2019, and concretely, in the VFO, the Verbier Festival Orchestra canteen, the VFO is 100 musicians. They stay for 5 weeks. They eat lunch and dinner at the canteen. And we decided the evenings would only be vegetarian. Oh. So I'll go into more detail about this. And this is because there are many now studies that show on a personal level, if we change our dietary habits, if we decide to reduce our meat consumption, it doesn't have to be going vegetarian, being vegan, just reducing, that can be on a personal level one of the best things we can do. So I introduced this to the orchestra, this concept, And about a week in, after vegetarian dinners, I had half the orchestra at my door saying, Sam, you're asking me to play 5.5 hours a day rehearsals. I need my protein. And I said, that's very interesting. You're all right. So let's talk about the fact that protein exists not only in meat. And so that then led to creating what we call the green breakfasts. So we have 2 green breakfasts a year, and they're awareness-raising events. So we basically, to try to describe it in words, you'd have to come to actually feel it. But we set out a long table. You start on one end, and you bring your own bowl and spoon, and you go along the table, filling your bowl with food which is all, let's call it vegan.
Plant-based.
Plant-based, that's a much better word, yeah. So, and then in front of every item is a little piece of paper that says if you take 1 spoon of this, you get X amount of protein. So, you know, walnuts, you get whatever. And so what they do is, it's a fun thing, you know? So you start at the beginning with porridge. That's already a big thing for some people because not everyone's into porridge. They have hot or cold, and then they go along the table counting how much protein they have in their bowl. And at the end, they just write their name and the amount of protein they have in there. And lots of people are surprised by the fact that actually all of the things that we offer, well, nearly all, have protein and more than they would have thought. And this event, so it started in 2019. We used to do 1 a year. Now we do 2, and it's very popular. It's for everyone backstage. So we invite the volunteers, we invite the musicians, the staff, everyone. Sometimes we get some conductors coming. Gabor Takachnach came right at the beginning this year and told us a story about how one famous tennis player, this is exactly what he eats. And he was very happy to share that. And it's really a moment that we have together, and it's an awareness-raising exercise. So that's one thing that we do, like Marie-Jo was talking about, that it's about sharing what we know, our sensitivity, with the people that come. Because, as you know, we have an incredibly international group of people in the Verbier Festival Orchestra, 100 musicians. They come from 25 different countries. Not every, you know, here in Switzerland, children learn about climate change and environmental issues at school, but that doesn't happen everywhere. So yesterday I also ran this green workshop. I've been doing for the last 3 days with the young musicians. Like I said, 20 each day. We have 60 in total. And one said at the end to me, just privately, you know, we never talk about this where I come from. So it was inspiring for me to see my colleagues know so much about it, you know, the other 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And he said to me, just that I know that they're thinking about it inspires me. So that was very interesting. So we run workshops, we run the green breakfast. We have something called the planting party. I can tell you briefly about that. It's at the beginning of the Verbier. It's a fun one, so I'll tell you quickly. It's at the beginning when the big orchestra arrive. They stay for 5 weeks, like I said. So as you know, we're up in here in Verbier, nature everywhere. And I always thought, but these musicians, they never actually maybe touch it. So what we do is we have an area in the rehearsal school. Outside, it's a garden. We buy lots of small plants like lettuce, tomato, aubergine. Many of these musicians eat tomatoes every day. They've never seen a tomato plant.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And so always on the day I introduce it, I go there with a tomato plant. In front of the orchestra, 100 people. I say, hey, does anyone know what this is? And after a few seconds, someone somewhere says, oh, I think it's a tomato plant. Very good. And so what they do is they come and they plant something. And then the idea is they look after it during the 5 weeks they're here. So for some people, this is the first time they've ever planted something. So it's really nice. And again, it's us coming together. And this year, we also got a group at the end of the planting party it was 7 horns, and they played for the plants. It was really fun, and everyone really appreciated it. And Marie-Jo was there, and
And did the plants appreciate it?
Yeah, so I asked them the next day, and they seemed to be doing really well.
Okay,
so
good.
I don't know if it was the rain, I don't know what, but it was a nice moment where we also talked about the fact that, you know, the Verbier Festival, it's human to human to human to human, and this was one instance where we're human to another being.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you so much for coming today.